Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis, and today we're going to be talking about Hedera, aka Hbar. I have quite a bit of things to talk about, so sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I just want to ask you guys, all please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and I do greatly appreciate it. Also, if you found any of the information in this video valuable to you, definitely consider subscribing and turning notifications on, as I also do appreciate that as well. Now, overall, a lot of people are focused on Bitcoin and Ethereum today. Trust me, I understand. We are waiting for Bitcoin to make an impulsive move. Is it going to do a massive crash today? Because Mondays are typically bloody. What's going to happen? Well, first off, focus on these three today: the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, and of course the Dow Jones. I do believe that these could be leading factors in the market, as I said in my XRP video from earlier today. But I'm also going to be watching the charts closely. Of course, I'm not going to be updating you guys later on today. I'm going to be uploading these videos earlier today. So definitely keep a close eye on the market in general. If anything massive happens, I will most likely do a live stream, if anything. So definitely keep note of that. But definitely keep these three in sight. Definitely keep a target on these. If you guys do want, if you're in the US, you could turn on CNBC and watch the opening bell and the closing bell. But in general, definitely keep a close eye out on that. Now, I have been getting a question a lot lately, and that is, what is the main reason for talking about transactions and these use cases in general? Like, what kind of transaction numbers would we need for us to really kind of skyrocket in value? Where does the value come from, those transactions? Well, let's talk about that. So keep in mind this fee per, just in general, the average fee on this network. This is very significant. Now, of course, up here, we know that Hbar is the main network fee for this entire platform for Hedera. We know also Hbar plays a huge role in network protection as well. But in general, we do see Hbars are used to pay for the network services such as transferring Hbars, managing fungible and non-fungible tokens, and logging data. For each transaction submitted to the network, Hbars are used to compensate network nodes for bandwidth, compute, and storage. Now, currently, why this 2 billion in terms of transactions is not really significant to me personally, is because if we do this number, which this is not the number that I'm going to be utilized, because I actually, before I started this video, I threw this number in, which was the transactions at the time. But of course, we could kind of just go off of this number alone. But if we look at this, this was the total amount, and this is the fee. You could see that in dollars, this only amounts to about $204,000. Now, I know to some people that might seem like a lot of money, but for a massive network as big as Hedera, this is nothing. This is table scraps. So, in general, when we're talking about, Hedera at scale, I want to see at least, at some point in time, 1 billion transactions, possibly a month. And where would we be, what would we be looking at if we had 1 billion transactions a month? Well, it's $100,000 per month, aka, pretty much $1.2 million a year, which again is table scraps. So when we're talking about where we would actually technically want to be, we're pretty much talking about like 1 billion transactions a day. And of course, I do think that we get there at some point in time. All of this value that everybody wants to, think about that gets derived from transactions in general is similar to Ethereum and Bitcoin. When we're talking about the amount of transactions going over these networks at the cost at which these, transactions are, yeah, it's significant. It will provide a lot of value for the network or the asset in general that is powering the network. Same with Hedera. The more transactions, the more, demand, the higher the price. So when we're talking about all these major use cases, yes, they do play a significant role in Hbar in terms of value. So definitely keep a close eye out on a lot of these other use cases that are pretty much coming up. Now, of course, we do see here, hey, Hbar community came across an article by former 3-star Indian Army general talking about Hedera. Now, let's jump over and actually read this. So we actually see here, view, will the next 9/11 be a cyber attack? Now, of course, in terms of, pretty much any major, threats, major cyber attacks or anything like that, it is significant to make sure that we have the highest tier security. When we're talking about, what the major role digital assets play in, terms of securing these major networks, we actually looked at Hedera. And I've always said, in terms of cyber attacks, Hedera could play a huge role. And in fact, we do see down here solutions at hand. On an enterprise level, the crucial challenge which India faces in terms of making a concrete cyber infrastructure can be solved by adopting the zero trust architecture. Now, of course, that's just one use case. What about this down here, right? So implementing zero trust architecture with a proper DevOps approach will certainly contain the damage as a test, everything and trust nothing. Hedera Hashgraph, a zero trust network architecture protocol partly owned by the likes of Google, LG, Tata Communications, Wipro, Boeing, IBM, among others, negates the issue with most centralized networks, that is a single point of failure. Now, this isn't saying Hedera is centralized, by the way. I just want you guys to understand that. But it really kind of shows you where Hedera is pretty much laying the groundwork. We do see adopting Hedera Hashgraph as a security layer is cost-effective, easy to implement, energy efficient, public but privacy-enabled solution, which can be adopted by institutions, enterprises, and individuals world over today. And of course, the likes of NASA, Standard Bank, IIT Madras, Shinhan Bank are already implementing the network within their own information technology environment, and even Reserve Bank of India in a recent working paper referred to Hashgraph technology as a possible solution for the rotary secure funds transfer and storage needs. Now, I'm just saying, if we are working with the Reserve Bank of India, that is going to be absolutely huge. And of course, NASA, we pretty much already see implementing the network within their own, of course, technology environment. So NASA is almost, in my mind, confirmed at this point, but this is going to be huge. If Hedera is utilized for securing mass networks, first off, this is coming from a military lieutenant general. That is huge. An army general. Okay? And of course, they do see the power behind Hedera. Now we also see here, talking about the NASA stuff. Older post, but very timely with the recent Indian General article. NASA is building on Hedera. NASA is also closely working with SpaceX, which means SpaceX might also be involved. Hbar is literally going to the moon with these two companies. And we do see here the NASA proposal for Hedera was pretty convincing to me. Hedera is a public DOT that solves all of the challenges and inefficiencies of the blockchain. Unlike blockchain, Hedera Hashgraph provides for transaction speeds up to 500,000 per second and goes on. Of course, we do see here NASA. Let me open this in a new tab because I know a lot of people complain a little bit about how they can't see. So NASA, here you guys have it. Proposal title: Hedera Hashgraph based distributed ledger for aerospace applications, which we already know that they are working with Boeing and stuff. And of course, we do see here, they must be able to know with 100% certainty that, what's the correct version of a set of engineered drawings or what the current functional capacity of distributed resources might be at any given time. They need one source of truth. Of course, we do see the solution, Hedera Hashgraph. Unlike blockchain, of course, that's pretty much what I just read. And of course, they are seeing, with over 900,000 a day just in beta phase, 900,000 transactions per second in beta phase. The highest known level of security as well, and world-class governance. So in my mind, NASA working with Hedera, that's just going to be huge at scale, which we've talked about in the past, but imagine SpaceX. Imagine an announcement of SpaceX working with Hedera. The amount of individuals that will be FOMOing in would be astronomical. And of course, we do see here, you might have been late on Ethereum, Solana, and OpenSea, but if you're reading this, you could still be so incredibly early on Hedera. Lock in some value NFTs with Hbar. Visit, and of course, this comes from Axis. I've always told you guys about this platform, this massive NFT marketplace. It looks so beautiful. I honestly love the UI, and I talk about this a lot. I'm not paid to show this. I just love this UI. And the reason why I look at this and show you guys it in this video yet again is because they are literally comparing this to Ethereum, Solana, OpenSea. They're talking about Hedera being massive at scale compared to these other, networks. I just want you guys to understand that OpenSea's UI is not nearly as clean as this. This is so straightforward, so clean. The UI is so crisp. Honestly, I think that this is so good for retail adoption. I think it's really good for the individual just trying to get into NFTs in general. It's so straightforward, it's easy, the prices are there. I love it. And of course, we do see here, in terms of DOT and NFT adoption, I know that I just talked to you guys about AR Ramen just the other day, but I want to talk to you guys more so about this because we do see here, looks like Hedera will be the DOT platform of choice for mainstream NFT adoption. 50 million followers across social media platforms, household name in India, 1.1 million Twitter subs from Business Today. So we are getting a lot of recognition. We are getting a lot of, just overall spotlight on Hedera, and I think that this is just the main portion of what we are going to see. This is such a small amount of overall, pretty much media attention. I think when we're talking about a lot of these major announcements like this one, right? I mean, this just happened yesterday, right? But all of these articles lead me back to the idea that retail individuals will read stuff like this, and just be like, wow, all right, I got to do my research. I got to learn what this is, how big this is. And pretty much that's what they are going to be looking at. I honestly think that retail adoption is just around the corner for Hedera. And of course, talking about NFTs, we do see Hashpack v2.0.1 has been released. We've hopefully fixed the issue with some NFTs not showing in the gallery. If you have a large collection, please wait a minute or so and try refreshing if you're still missing NFTs. And of course, they are centering around HGraph punks. But look at how huge this actually is going to be. I mean, again, a lot of these, wallet apps are very poor in terms of UI. But I gotta really give Hashpack Wallet, some props. This looks extremely clean. I know that, Zacked Wallet has been, doing a little bit of some updates and some tweaking, but overall, I think Hashpack Wallet is going to be a clear winner in my book. I think that this is going to be one of those wallets that really be, utilized a lot more than even Zacked Wallet for HBAR and HBAR related things. And of course, we do see here 1.3. Now that the year 2021 is over, we can look back and compare transaction volumes in 2021 between DOT networks. I added some that were requested by the community. I hope this gives you a clearer image of how far ahead of the curve HBAR already is. And HBAR is green, you could probably already tell. And look at all of these other major networks. I mean, we're talking about ADA, ALGO, Bitcoin, DOT, Ethereum, Phantom, Litecoin, VET, and even XRP. Look at the sheer amount of volume that HBAR is pretty much just, I mean, this is absolutely incredible, right? When we're talking about the amount of volume per month, we're talking about 115, 275, 482, and it just continues to ramp up. And I think that this is going to continue on into this year, except it's going to be so much bigger. I mean, this is just crazy to me. When we're talking about, the amount of volume that will flow over HBAR very soon, just from a lot of other, use cases going live, like the ServiceNow stuff, all that kind of stuff just leads into a blossoming network of mass adoption from huge corporations, huge clients that will pretty much utilize Hedera. I'm not talking 1 million transactions a day. I'm not talking about 10 million transactions a day. I'm talking about like 100 million plus transactions a day, just from one singular use case. Back in, January of 2021, we were at 115 million, transactions in total for the month. Look at the monthly totals since then. Okay, and just imagine if we were doing that a month, this monthly transaction, a day. Just imagine the monthly transaction volume. And of course, some networks maybe deliberately make it extremely hard to find accurate transaction numbers. This made it extremely difficult to find definitive 100% accurate numbers, specifically on monthly or yearly time periods. And of course, we do see here Hedera Hashgraph leading, the transaction growth for all DLTs in 2021 by 56.15%. That is quite a number. And when we're talking about Phantom, so I know a lot of people have been, saying, well, what about Phantom? Yeah, what about Phantom? Such a small piece of the puzzle. Ethereum is here, and XRP is here. Okay, and look at all these other small figures. I mean, they're not even close. And of course, therefore, it is possible for some smaller networks to show minor compared to transaction numbers like HBAR inaccuracies. I'm open to reviewing numbers when given credible sources. And of course, again, you can see HBAR is clearly killing these other networks in terms of sheer volume. That is why I believe that HBAR is an easy winner in my book. So with all of that in mind, when we're talking about the amount of volume that will, flow over HBAR and lead us to, the golden egg, if you will, I always refer to the transaction cost and then multiply that by the amount of transactions you believe that we will be at some point in time. Like, for an example, if we were generating 1 billion transactions a day, okay, that would be, simply put, $100,000 a day in terms of volume. But it would also be, pretty much flowing into the network. And we'll just average it for 30 days. We'll just say 30 days or 28 days just to make it easier because I know February is 28 days. So we'll do $2.8 million a month, okay? And then multiplied that by 12. I mean, that's $33.6 million flown over the network a year, which again is nothing. But if you look at it at scale, when we're talking about, at scale, the amount of transactions that will be flowing over this network, soon the mass adoption is going to go and take the wheel, and we're going to see these numbers skyrocketing. Okay, first off, compare this to other networks, like for an example, Solana. Okay, in my mind, this is far superior than Solana. It's far superior than a lot of these other assets and these other networks. So in my mind, when we're talking about the transactions, flowing over this network, once we get to the point where, and even Mance himself, even Lehman himself, even Christian Hasker himself, we're saying, when we're doing, multiple transactions a second, when we're talking about like, say for so we're doing like 100,000 transactions per second, that's going to be the day to really celebrate, because we're talking about like 6 million transactions a minute, okay? 6 million transactions a minute, 360 million transactions an hour. We're talking about 8.6 billion transactions a day, which is technically $860,000 a day. That is going to be something to look forward to. That's when we will see, that's when we will see the network really skyrocketing in value, because that's like about $24 million in fees, pretty much a month, which results to like about $288 million a year for Hedera. So with that in mind, yes, transactions, yes, these use cases all matter. They will provide immense amount of value to Hedera. And with all of the, amounts of volume of transactions flowing onto this network, it's going to skyrocket Hedera's price as well. Because guess what? More network usage, more network demand means a higher price per HBAR. So with all of that in mind, I hope that you all enjoyed this. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. As always, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or a beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.